So it's Sunday, 8:30 in the morning. I've been on the road from 4:30 because it's Easter Sunday. I tried doing Uber yesterday. On Saturday it was dead, and I'm in a Dodge Durango because yesterday I cleaned it up, but there was no passengers, right? And so I see that Uber was showing busy in the early morning for Sunday because they give you kind of like a forecast so you can check. And I set up the alarm for 4 o'clock today, and 4:15, 4:20 I was ready with my mug of decaf coffee, started the apps, and at 4:30 I got my first passenger. There was a couple going to a transit station, to LRT, which was just like $6. Then I picked up a lady from nearby going to work near the airport, and this was like 5 o'clock. I don't know. I said, is it kind of like a warehouse? And she says, no, yeah, it's like a trucking company. She says, I'm in dispatch. And so then after that, I ended up in downtown. Yeah, I took a guy from there, like 25 kilometers downtown. He kept asking me about cars, like, is it a Ford? I said, no, I would never drive a Ford. And then he said, well, what's wrong with Ford? I said, okay, I'm kidding, but it's a Dodge Durango. I said, I think it's better than Ford. And so evidently the guy doesn't have a car. That's why he's taking Uber. So I took him to casino downtown. It's like 6 in the morning, 5:30. I'm guessing he's working. So basically early mornings, lots of people go to work and from work. And then I pick up, and why I'm saying from work, I was at the Fairmont Hotel on 9th Avenue twice. First, I see 3 young people come out with suitcase and bags, and I assume they're going to the airport. No, they're going like 2.5 kilometers to a place where they left their car. And you can smell like the alcohol, the booze smell is so strong. Like I'm guessing they were having a big party. And I don't know how they're gonna drive, like, because the guy was sitting next to me. There was another guy and a young girl in the back there, and this guy still seemed a bit tipsy. And then I dropped them off. They got into like a beat up Honda, and that was it. And then the Uber gives me again Fairmont Hotel. Okay, I go there, I pick up a lady, and she's going like 10 kilometers to Nose Hill Park area. So I was glad to get out of downtown because there's just so many potholes in there. And we started talking. Turns out she's from India, but she lived in Dubai for a long time, and now she just moved from Dubai to Calgary. And she said she never had any breathing problems, but here she was prescribed a puffer. I said, wait, do you have asthma? She says, no, but it's because here of constant temperature changes during the day. She finds it, since she's grew up in warm climate, right, in India, and then she lived in Dubai, which of course is desert, right? And so she's having trouble here, but she likes Calgary. So it turns out she was coming off night shift. She works as a kind of like auditor or night manager or something. So Easter Saturday she worked the night shift, and so I took her home. And then after that I had another couple of rides. One lady says, oh, fancy ride, she really liked Durango, and she gave me $5 tips because I was driving careful, slowing down on turns, not tossing her around in the back seat. Had a nice soulful music playing. Oh, and one lady I picked up, she was also coming off night shift. I said, you coming from work? I picked her up in front of a house. I said, it was just a house, right? Turns out she's a, what do you call it? Like long-term care nurse. So she works for a family where the guy is disabled, and she does night shifts. So again, everything is related to work, right? And then the last one, so from 4:30 till 8:30, I did 9 rides. And right now I'm sitting at $102, including the tip. And the last ride was also a nurse because she was going to age some kind of basically old people home. So again, lots of everything is either people going to work or from work, or they're drunk, they're trying to get to their car. Like, it was interesting. Like, that lady from Dubai was interesting to talk to. We were talking about Calgary because, I'm new here too. I've been here 2 years, right? So we were kind of like exchanging notes. I said, well, I like this, but I don't like the roads. But yeah, and the climate is a bit difficult. But we agreed that Calgary is a great city. I said it's much better than Edmonton, much cleaner. It's kind of like a cultural capital of Alberta to me, even though Edmonton is the actual capital. And so I ended up, so I drop off this nurse, and then I needed to go to the bathroom because I drank lots of coffee, and so I found the 7-Eleven. And 7-Eleven, by the way, gas price today is $1.20 or 119.9 per liter, which is great. And 7-Eleven, quite often they don't have bathrooms, public bathrooms. So I stopped here, I went inside, checked my lottery ticket, of course nothing. I usually play 649 on Saturday. And went inside, I said, you guys have a bathroom? He says, oh yeah, over there in the corner. Great. And so now it seems like it's a little bit of a slow down. I have both Uber and Lyft on. And they promised a bit of snow. I see some tiny baby flakes falling down. Like crazy, I'm telling you. April, end of April, Easter, right? Easter is usually the beginning of spring. But anyway, I don't want to move anywhere because I'm in a very good area. I am deep south in Calgary. Like, that's the McLeod Trail over there. The sign says north. McLeod Trail is 300 meters. The ramp to North McLeod, and ramp to southbound McLeod Trail is 500 meters. So basically it's that's 1A. And so just a couple of kilometers south is the ring road 201, and then I can get anywhere. So the ideal customer from here, because it's a long distance from here to the airport, it would be like $30-40. The ideal would be to grab somebody that goes to the airport. And then airport is busy. I was checking the forecast for the airport. Uber gives you lots of interesting data, useful data to work with. Like, they show you how many flights arrive. I don't know how they know all this, but if you click on that waiting lot near the airport, it shows you at what hour how many flights arrive, and you can plan accordingly. So let's say 8 a.m. there was a bunch of flights, and then closer to the evening there'll be a bunch of flights. So if I could end up at the airport, it'll be a win-win. Okay, so if I can take somebody from here to the airport, that's what I'm waiting for. But for now, I have my coffee, which is a mix of decaf and Tim Hortons. I have my music, I have my phone, I can read up on news. That's what I usually do, go to Google, play with, see what's happening in the world. And yesterday I did the advanced voting, which is open till Monday. So this time I voted for conservatives. Give them a chance, get the liberals out of the house. So better income tax, lower income taxes, better firearms policies, better focus on economy. That's what, in my opinion, the difference is between conservatives and liberals here in Canada. And so hopefully they will win, because I think a lot of people are super tired of Trudeau and Carney and their BS policies. So, yes, as Pierre Poilievre says, it's time for a change. Well, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm seeing it $144. So 5.5 hours of work. So that's about $26 per hour. not too bad. So I just dropped off a lady. I picked her up in downtown. And yeah, from the very south, I took a lady to Scotia Dome, you know, like the exhibition center in downtown. Beautiful. She gave me a tip. Everybody likes my car, you know. I'm getting much more tips in Durango than in that beat-up Jeep Compass, you know. Not beat up, but, you know, like the outlook, the outside, it's all hail damage. It looks like a, you know, junk car. This one, I'm getting compliments and I'm getting tips. And so I took that lady to work at Settle Dome downtown, and then I started driving right away. I got a ride from a lady with a couple of bags, and I said, I'm guessing we're going to the airport? She says, yeah. I said, departures? She says, yes. And I said, what airline? She says, WestJet. I said, okay. So I already know which lane to be in. There's 3 lanes coming into the airport. Departures is the middle lane. I know that one. Just took her to the second floor, which is departures. Arrivals is on the first floor in Calgary Airport. And she gave me a $6 tip. You know, I just helped her with the bag, put it in, put it out. I was pleasant, didn't annoy her. Just had some nice music playing in the background. The car is clean, I'm guessing still. Yeah, people are loving it. So yeah, $144. And time now is 10 o'clock. So things are, for Sunday, this is excellent. So I think I might stay until I'm, you know, really hungry. And go get me some Ukrainian pierogies. Because I don't want to work too much, because I'm working tomorrow. Tomorrow is Monday. We open at my equipment rental place. But $200 would be nice, you know, to make $200, because yesterday I spent $50 on gas for this car, and I only had like 30 liters. I think it was $1.27 per liter. So if I make $200, that means that after you deduct that $50, so I only made $150, but still, you know, that's fine. So like on a Sunday, you know, the money keeps pouring into my pocket, right? Why not? I really love driving this car. I love talking to people. I'm a sociable guy. You meet all kinds of people, like I mentioned, and I love this, you know. Like, this is one of the jobs I would do this even if it didn't pay anything, you know. That's how they say, you know, when you are in a job that really suits you, is if you can answer this question, would you do this if there was no pay? If you say yes, that means it's like a hobby. And when you work at a hobby, that's the best thing in the world, you know. So if this paid slightly better and I could do this full time, that would be, you know, ideal. But we're gonna see what's happening in July. You know, in July, when I have 2 weeks off, July 1st to July 14th, and we have Stampede. There are gonna be a bunch of tourists, and so I'm gonna go and try the Durango. Because yeah, oh, by the way, the news on my Jeep Compass, I got an email. It was supposed to be already in the shop yesterday, Saturday, which is April 19th. But in the week before, they sent me an email saying that, you know, we'd like to postpone. So basically, I waited 6 months for that appointment, and now they want to postpone. And they were asking me, do I want to do it in 2 stages? First the repair and then the painting, or can I wait a bit extra and then do everything together? And, you know, since I don't have all the money yet for the deductible, I said, yeah, I'm okay with waiting. I don't care, as long as they fix it eventually, right? Hopefully before the next hailstorm. And the guy disappeared. I was emailing him, leaving him messages on voicemail, like, so what's going on? When is my my new appointment? Oh, we're still trying to figure this out. I'm guessing they're overwhelmed with repairs, because there was a lot of cars that got damaged last August. And so I asked him, hey, since I have to wait, can you guys help me with the deductible? Can we just waive the deductible? Oh no, that's between you and the insurance company. So I keep calling the insurance company. The guy never picks up the phone, never returns my voicemails. TD Insurance. That's probably the worst insurance agency in Canada, and possibly the United States. All right, so basically the goal is to sit here and wait for the ride, see what happens, and maybe if I could make another $50. And all it takes is one long trip, you know, like from here, a couple of times I picked up people that were going like 40 kilometers south to Calgary. And so we paid like $45, and then they can give you a tip, and that's it. Then my goal of $200 today is done. And then I can just, let's say I'm in the deep south, I can just turn on filters and say, you know, head to destination and put my home address. And then Uber will try to find me people going towards back to this area. But for now, that's what I need. I need one long ride that pays anywhere between 30 and $50. That's what we need. And the weather today, like, man, it's really, really ugly. You know, the sky is overcast, as you can see. Not too many guys here sitting, so I think it's busy. Normally, I don't like spending, you know, like, oh, check this out. Airplane is taking off. Normally, I don't like sitting here if it's very slow, but, and again, you see, like, on this side we have cars, Hyundai Elantra, Kia, but here we have all SUVs. Hyundai SUV, this one is Honda. Over there, oh, that's a Chrysler Odyssey, that black minivan over there. This guy has a Tahoe. Tahoe? Man. So people even use Tahoe for Uber. And over there in the end, near the wall, that's a Beamer. I can see from here the emblem, BMW. This guy here has a Tesla, and that's just a small car. Basically, it's a mix. Oh, there's a Toyota, I think it's a Highland over there. Basically, a lot of SUVs. I would say this is most common. And I'm back in downtown. That when I was sitting at the, you see this fancy hotel? Hotel Germain? German? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I'm right next to a TV tower. So yeah, I was sitting at the airport and they gave me this guy. I don't know how I bypassed all the, there was like 15 cars ahead of me. And it was not a XL, because there was like 5 XL cars ahead of me and maybe 15, 20 Uber X. But for some reason I got that offer, I clicked on it and it says go to arrivals, gate 12. So I called the guy to make sure that he's in the arrivals, because quite often, especially if they're not locals, they're confused and they sit in departures and I'm at arrivals or vice versa, you know, and change that, you have to call them, hey, take the elevator. They have no idea where the elevator is to get from departures to arrivals or from arrivals to departures. It's a nightmare. And then there's no parking there. Like, you can only pick up people or drop off people. You really cannot stand there for like more than 2 minutes, because there's always security. They kick you out, you know, start moving, you know, you cannot stay here. And so the other day I was there was a couple, they cannot find the door. I'm saying I'm at door 12. There's no door 12. Well, time now is almost 12, 5 minutes to 12. I'm at $180 with a total of 14 trips. And surprisingly, they're all Uber. Lyft offered me one trip, which was super cheap, and I said no. And after that, I kept it off. So now I only have one app running. And my last run was I picked up the guy in this area. Like, it's very industrial. You see there's a railroad in there in the distance. There's some warehouse over here. And right in middle of this industrial area, just east of downtown, I did not even know that people lived here, you know. So these townhouses, and then in the back there's houses. And so I picked up one guy, and the name of the customer is a female name. So let's say Tanya, you know, for some reason it's not the real name, but let's say Tanya. A guy shows up and I say, is it for Tanya? He says yes. And I see it says multiple stops. So I take him to a pawn shop 5 clicks away. And then I wait there maybe for 5 minutes and take him back, bring him back. So I'm guessing he was pointing something. And that's it. So now, yeah, it's 5 to 12. I'm starting to feel tired because I've been up since 4. So 4:30 to 12, what is that? 7.5 hours, right? So yeah, so if I do it for another 30 minutes, that'll be 8 hours, which is a pretty decent, work shift. And yeah, and I'm stuck probably, I'm like 25 clicks away from my home. So I don't want to go empty all the way there. So I'm gonna wait because now Uber shows me the map, like demand, earnings, potential earnings. Everything is red, very busy. It's kind of like funny. Usually Sunday is dead, but because Saturday was dead yesterday during this Easter long weekend, Sunday is kind of like the same as Saturday on a regular day, on a regular week. Because tomorrow, Monday, most people are still off, right? So today they're busy, after Good Friday and Saturday, probably everybody got drunk. So Sunday, people start moving, start doing stuff what they usually do on a Saturday. Kind of like interesting how the human society operates, So it's 12:25. I'm in a dark tunnel, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. So it's 12:25. I just did my trip number 15 trip from that industrial area. There was a passenger nearby, and it was Uber Comfort, and some super dressed up guy goes out, and he has a suitcase and a backpack, and he's dressed like a rich style, and he has a very strict, stern face expression. And when I said hello, I think he said hi maybe, and quickly went in. I opened the trunk, put his bag in, and he grabbed his backpack and he took it with him. And he had I could see he has a earpiece, like these people are deaf basically. No, I mean, he's either talking on the phone or listening to music. But then, because it's Comfort, what Comfort means, if you guys don't know, is that they can set up their preferences, And so when I clicked picked up, the customer is picked up, then I see that, yeah, we do go to the airport, and then it says preferences. Click preferences, basically, to see the customer preferences. I click on that, and it says cool temperature, quiet. Holy moly. So basically the guy doesn't want to talk. So right away I turned down the temperature. It was like 20.5 Celsius. I turned it down to 19, plus 19, and I didn't say a word. And so I have no idea. I know we're going to the airport, and the guy has suitcases, right? So I assuming it's departures, but he doesn't want to talk, so I have no idea. Maybe he wants arrivals, because sometimes people go to well, no, car rentals would be at departure level as well, because maybe he's just going there to rent a car, so I don't know. And so I'm keeping mom silent all the time. I turned down the music, kept it cool for the guy. And I only saw, like, there's no tip. Maybe he'll give me a tip after. I helped him with the bag because it's Comfort, so it means it's a rich guy. But I only saw a difference, maybe of $1. Like if this was Uber X, it was about 19 kilometers from the pickup spot to the airport, and it paid maybe like $19.50, whereas usually Uber X would be $1 per kilometer. But usually within an hour, these guys get a reminder saying, would you like to rate the driver and leave him a tip? But I did get like, 3 tips today, because people love my Durango. So I hope this guy loved it too. It was clean, it was you know, fresh, quiet music in the background, you know, quiet driver. And I see I'm dressed all nice, you know, like my leather German aviator jacket, my Soli hat. If you guys don't know what this is the gun store in Ontario. Sometimes I buy guns and ammo from online. They have good pricing. For some reason, Ontario is always cheaper than here. Like, I don't even remember last time I shopped. Let's say we have a Bass Pro Shop, right, where you can buy some ammo, but it's much more expensive than, let's say, I don't know, online somewhere. Like either these guys solely, or I have another store I use. So anyway, and 15 trips, I'm sitting at $199.04. So that's my gross take in from 4:30 this morning until 12:25. And I haven't had any breakfast. I only had coffee. So now I'm heading back home. I turned off the app. You know, I think 8 hours is enough, especially since it's Sunday, right? You're not supposed to work on Sunday. Like, I know what Jewish people think Sunday they don't work, right? I think that's a good tradition, you know. We should all implement that. So now I'm thinking, what should I get for lunch or brunch, since I had no breakfast? And I'm passing Guru India. These guys have great, you know, Indian food, because I don't feel like cooking. Or I can get my pierogies, which are like $3 per pack of 200. But they're just, you know, pierogies with potatoes and onions. You know, like, you can eat 20 of them and you'll be hungry in 1 hour, you know. So I don't know, maybe I'll get this benga barta with some roti, you know, to go. We'll see. But anyway, so it was a good Sunday. I didn't expect it to be so busy, you know. But again, I trust Uber forecasts, you know. So, and actually they was showing yesterday, Saturday was mediocre, like showing mediocre earnings, right? But then Sunday they showed great earnings in the morning. And so you see, I helped 15 people today. So I'm not a broker, I'm not a middleman. I really love this, you know, when you perform a specific service, you know, like when I was a trucker, right? I was moving loads from point A to point B, and now I'm moving people from point A to point B. So, you know, airport, people going to work, people getting off work after a night shift, you know, I'm doing, you know, useful work. And yeah, the weather is slightly better now. Well, it's still cloudy, but at least we can see the sun. The sun is out. And I spent $50 yesterday on gas. And in the morning, in the beginning, I had my range to empty was 350. Now it's 250. So, which is not bad, because I think I did more than 100 kilometers since, you know, I made almost $200. Normally, like I mentioned before, to make $200 here in Calgary, you need to drive 200 kilometers. So, and my range to empty reduced only by 100 clicks, because I was on a highway quite often, you know, on the freeway. And this Durango does very well at highway speeds, but it just doesn't like the lights, you know, picking up and, you know, speed between lights. It just hates it. Right away I see, like, you know, if I was driving like this at 60 kilometers an hour, I see instant gas economies in metric shows like 8 liters, 7 liters per 100 kilometers. If I start accelerating right now, and very gently, it shows 50 liters per 100 kilometers, you know. 22, 24, 20, 13, 10, 7, because I let off on gas. All right, so time to go grab a nice brunch, because I think I earned it, and go home and watch some movies and get ready for tomorrow's another day of exciting work at my rental company, where I'll be driving a Freightliner or a F350 pickup truck all around Calgary, delivering and picking up scissor lifts, mini excavators, skid steers, extendable ladders, hate those, and of course scaffold. People love scaffold. They love to rent it. We don't like to deliver it, but what do you do? You got to. So thanks for watching, boys and girls. Catch you on the next one.